I'm going to show you the most outrageous attack. This is from the match between Ding Liren and Vladislav Artemiev. Ding playing white. This really is, for me, the game of the day. So Ding was one down. This is game 3. Ding was already one down. So let's see what happened. I'll give you the final scores on the doors at the end of this game. I mean, this was high drama. In fact, the whole day was full of drama. F3. So this is Ding's favourite anti-Grunfeld system. The idea is that after d5, you take, and then there's no knight on c3, and that means the knight is forced back to a poor square. Lots of ways of countering this. You can just transpose into a King's Indian, but knight c6 from Artemiev, one of the most creative and certainly provocative ways of playing the position, because of course white can just push that knight out of the way. And white has a huge centre, but there are some dark squares, some dark square weaknesses. This diagonal has opened, but it is highly provocative because white can push these pawns forward. Here's an interesting moment. How many of us would just play the knight to f3? Just develop normally? Well, in that case, that actually allows black quite a bit of counterplay. For example, here. So this was a game played between Vityugov and Tomaszewski. And you can see that actually there's a fair degree of pressure on white's centre. Certainly black is able to get pieces out very easily. Get a rook to the c-file, and yeah, it doesn't matter if you give up that bishop for a knight. It's all about playing on the dark squares. So let's go back here. What did Ding do? He played knight h3. A little bit unusual, but there is a very good reason for this. That here the knight switches to f2, guarding the e-pawn, crucial pawn, and covering the g4 square. They actually had this variation in game 1, and there, well, this move castles were transposed to it. And actually, Artemiev managed to get quite a lot of counterplay on the e-file and managed to break successfully with d5. He was fine. Although the game was drawn, Artemiev was better. So instead of castles here, Ding went for it. Remember, he is one down in this match. He played g4. I mean, this is kind of outrageous. Leaving the king in the middle. c6, of course, you need to break open the position. g5. I thought at first, actually, Artemiev was just going to give up this pawn. And, well, you know, try and get some play against the king. But, well, it is a bit risky. Instead, he just dropped the knight back to e8. I felt this might be a bit passive. But actually the knight does spin out to c7 very quickly. Takes, and here we go. Well, no half measures. Ding plays the pawn to h4. I guess if you start pushing your pawns like this, then you just have to keep going with this strategy. You know, it's kind of a game of chicken. If you back down, if you try to defend this, forget it. You have to keep going with your plan. So he's just cracking open the h-file. But how does the queen get there? How does the queen get to the h-file? And in the meantime, what is black doing in the middle? And what is white's king doing in the middle? Rook e8, lining up against the king. That is the problem. And now here, I mean, we were looking at all kinds of things. Maybe just slipping the king out here. But a4 from Ding. So he's pushing everything. This is absolutely outrageous. But there's more to this move than meets the eye. Bishop a6. Now, incredibly, the machines think that white is better here. I was commentating live on this game on the Chess24 channel with Tanya Sachdev and Judith Polgar joined us. And Judith, well, we have to trust her judgment. She thought that black's position was just huge. She was saying, well, white can't play like this. This is outrageous. Like I said, the machines actually think that white is better here. But it is really random. A5. Knight bd5. In fact, for the record, the machines think that white should just plough on with f5. Extraordinary. Let me show you this one variation actually. So this is not the game. So obviously the idea is f6. After pawn takes, queen h5. Pawn takes, knight g4. It doesn't feel like white's attack is enough, but watch this. Here, check, and castle's kingside. And according to the machine, white is winning. Extraordinary. Lots of possible moves. G7. There's knight h6. G6 rather. G6, knight h6. And yeah, apparently this is winning for white. Remarkable move. Castle's kingside on move 24. Anyway, none of that happened. Just wanted to show you that variation because it was kind of fun. And incredible that white is actually winning that. It's so direct and you're only playing with a few pieces. Bishop a6 played. a5. Knight bd5. So this has been coming for a long time. Exploiting the pin on the e-file. So of course if pawn takes pawn, bishop takes knight to check, followed by rook takes bishop. So of course Ding avoids that, takes on g6, h takes g6. Still, white is a very long way from bringing anything to the h-file. Even if you did manage to get a queen to h7, the king steps to f8. And the bishop does a great job. Just like in many King's Indian positions or in the Dragon, that bishop is a wonderful defender. But here comes Ding with, I'm sure, the original idea behind advancing the a-pawn, which is rook a3. So he's just looking somehow to bring that rook over to the h-file, increasing the pressure. So if knight takes knight, of course, you don't recapture the pawn, you recapture with the bishop. And you beg black to take that rook, because then there really is something to play for. Queen up, or well, anyway, queen to the h-file, or maybe just knight g4, and so on. So rook a3 just played. Knight b4. Now a cool move. King f1. Just stepping out of the e-file. Rook b8. And here, once again, the machines think that white is actually winning this position if white just plays f5. Just route one. You want to play f6. If bishop e5 takes, knight g4, that's a key move. Try to get in on f6 and queen f3 with the idea f6 and queen h3. According to the engines, this is winning. Incredible. But Ding played king g2. Much calmer. But actually, with the devilish idea of queen g1 to h2, it is so direct. It's brutal. And bishop c8 played. So clearly Artemiev worried about the knight coming to g4. He's prepared just to exchange it off for this bishop. And in fact, bishop g4 is a pretty decent move here for white. Again, bringing that knight to g4. But rook h4 played by Ding. Okay, building up. Potentially bringing the queen to h1. But let's see. c5. I think instinctively I would prefer d5. But anyway. Bishop c4. So a new angle of attack. d5. Now the position breaks open with white's king on g2. Watch out for this. f5. Ding not hanging around. Pawn takes pawn, and now queen h5. But by this stage, it has gone wrong. There were chances earlier, as I pointed out, but actually now black is fine, or more than fine. Bishop takes pawn check. Finally, black is breaking through to the king. if bishop takes, queen takes, there are ideas of, well, if the king steps back, you've got to watch out for a check on the back rank, for example. It's going wrong. Rook f3. Brave move from Ding. He just realizes he has to go all out for the attack. He can't back down here. If bishop takes, queen takes, well, white is still in the game there because this bishop is such a strong piece. The queen could return, or maybe queen f5. But instead of taking, because that bishop is, the rook is pinned, so it's not going anywhere anyway. Knight c2 from Artemiev. Excellent move. Threatening, for example, knight e1, possibly knight d4 as well. g6. Ding is not giving up. He's not backing down. No defensive moves. He has to keep going forward. It is the only chance. Knight e1 check. King h3. Bishop takes bishop. Now, if rook takes, then here, and knight takes f3, black must be winning that. Black is actually, let me see, a rook up. Yeah, black is a rook up. So after bishop takes c4, instead of recapturing, Ding just played rook g3, lining up. I mean, this is like you've just got this big gun, or two big guns, basically, and you're just kind of trying to push them, shove them into position and ready to pull the trigger. It's not subtle. Now, instinctively here, one would wish to close the G file, but then check here, bishop h6, it's all gone wrong again. In fact, there is a way for black to win this position. You've got seconds on the clock. What do you play? Now, 3, 2, 1. Bishop f1 is the move. And after this, here is the point that if rook takes g6, you take the rook with check and knight f3. Did you spot till the end of the variation? Not so easy. But instead of bishop f1, Artemiev played queen f6. And now he's lost. Pawn takes pawn check. It looks like a natural move to defend, but the problem is bishop takes pawn. Queen h8 is mate. The blunderbuss has exploded, and it's exploded in black's face. So after pawn takes pawn check, king f8, pawn takes rook, queen, rook takes, and now a simple move, rook takes bishop. And now white is a whole rook up. Queen e6, rook f4. Not only a rook up, but f5 about to fall, and it's looks like a mating attack as well as your extra rook. What an extraordinary game! And I mean, I think this is a lesson. If you're attacking, then no matter what is happening, don't fall back. Don't lose confidence. You just have to keep going. If your opponent has something, fine. But the best chance is to continue forwards with all your might. And Ding succeeded. Well, this was quite an incredible match because that leveled the scores. Or did it level the scores? Do you know what? I'm losing the plot completely. Yeah, he did level the scores. And then Artemiev won game 4. So he won the second set, 1 set all. They went to a tiebreak. And incredibly, Artemiev won the tiebreak. So he goes through to the final. And he will meet Levon Aronian, who, by the skin of his teeth, defeated Magnus Carlsen, who, well, didn't have his best day at the office. But full credit to Levon Aronian for taking his chances. Great to see him playing a good tournament. So Aronian against Artemiev in the final on Saturday and Sunday. Do join me for live commentary on Chess24. Don't forget like, comment, share and subscribe, and do consider supporting us via PayPal or Patreon. Thanks for watching.